Now, we've all heard of the quarterback GOAT conversation, Brady and now Mahomes, and Aaron Rodgers has even gotten some credibility, and even Peyton Manning, when it comes to the greatest of all time conversation. But Kurt Warner says, well, maybe slow down a little bit, because on Jomboy's Media Football Today, Kurt Warner said, and I quote, Aaron is one of the best quarterbacks in our league has ever seen, but he doesn't get into the greatest conversation until he gets to another Super Bowl. Having him switch teams, having him come back at 40 years old off an Achilles, the New York Jets, who have never won, and this could maybe set Aaron in a different kind of category. Kind of what I was able to do with Arizona that elevated me back to a different status than it would have been if I had just great success with St. Louis. Don't know if I entirely agree with this, but we'll get into it. Do you believe that Rodgers deserves to be in the greatest of all time conversation with the likes of Manning, Mahomes, and Brady?
I never thought of him in that regard. I never thought of him as the GOAT. I never thought of him as being better than overall in his career and his recognition than Tom Brady. I don't think even if he wins another Super Bowl, I don't think that's going to matter that much. That'll be 2 against 7. Come on. And he's had the opportunities to win more Super Bowls. He's been in the playoffs a lot. It's his postseason success or lack thereof that's the factor that prevents him from breaking this glass ceiling and getting up there into that elite category. I mean, there have only been 4 players that have been to the Super Bowl with 2 teams. Brady and Manning are the only 2 that won a Super Bowl with 2 different teams. Kurt Warner and Craig Morton being the other 2, and I can see why Kurt Warner's bringing this up, because he's one of the only 4 players in history that's been to the Super Bowl with 2 different teams. Now, if Aaron Rodgers can make it to the Super Bowl with the Jets, there may be some different kind of recognition he gets, because he's 40 years old. He's coming back from an Achilles tear. He's playing with the Jets, who never win anything. Okay, it's been since Joe Namath, Super Bowl III, since the Jets won a Super Bowl. So if he can get them to the Super Bowl and win it, then yeah, maybe he's looked at in a little different category, because he's got a lot of headwinds there to overcome to make it.
I'm going to agree with you when it comes to Rodgers. Maybe 10 years ago, 5 years ago, we were like, well, maybe he has a chance. He throws a nice football. But no, he could go undefeated. He could win the Super Bowl. That does not make him the greatest quarterback, or let's keep it in the realm of quarterback, because I wasn't thinking he was comparing him to Jerry Rice or Jim Brown or any one of the other, or Lawrence Taylor. Let's keep it in the realm of quarterback in the greatest of all time, because I assume that's what he's talking about. No, zero chance whatsoever, because in the totality of Aaron Rodgers' career, the idea of him being clutch or a great quarterback, the great quarterback part, he has been a very, very good quarterback, very low interceptions and high touchdowns. That's how he's won his back-to-back MVP, although that last MVP, I think you could very well make a solid argument Brady probably should have won it. However, in the playoffs, where it's the big-time moment, we talk about Anthony Edwards not being able to succeed in the big-time moment, that's Aaron Rodgers. He is 7-9 since that 2010 Super Bowl. How can you say that this guy, Aaron Rodgers, deserves to be in the greatest of all time conversation when he has a losing record since winning his last Super Bowl? And he's had a couple opportunities, actually. He had an opportunity to say no to Brady winning his 7th, and lo and behold, he threw an interception, and Brady torched him. And Brady threw 3 picks late in that game, and Rodgers on the 8-yard line, his coach decided to kick a field goal after they tried it, I think, 2 or 3 times to try to get in the end zone, and Rodgers could have even ran it in and chose not to. You had an opportunity, and you got sunk. It was a massive mistake.
He had a wide open to the end zone, and he chose to throw it instead.
I don't
know what he was thinking about there.
I'm not sure entirely. But also, Kurt Warner brings up like him as well. He compares Rodgers to him in the sense of coming back and being thought about in a different category. It took Kurt Warner a long time to find success in Arizona. A very long time. And before that, it was injuries. He played 7 games in his last 2 years with St. Louis, and then he played for the Giants, which that was not a great run whatsoever.
He was replaced by Eli Manning.
And not only that, it took him 3 seasons for him to get a winning record with Arizona when they went 9-7. And then they had and that year was the nice long run, and then they ended up losing in the Super Bowl. However,
it was a great Super Bowl.
It was a phenomenal Super Bowl. One of the best catches in NFL history happened in that Super Bowl. So I don't think it's fair to compare even Kurt Warner to Aaron Rodgers, because I'm going to pick Aaron Rodgers over Kurt Warner 10 times out of 10. Because Kurt Warner, yes, he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. He was the quarterback with the greatest show on turf. A wonderful story, undrafted, made it to the Super Bowl, won a Super Bowl, made it back to another, lost to Tom Brady. But Aaron Rodgers does not deserve to be in the GOAT conversation, regardless if he makes it or wins it. If he wins it, you might be able to say, 2 Super Bowls, maybe put him over Peyton Manning. Maybe. I'm saying maybe. So. I'm just saying potentially, because people are already arguing that Mahomes is over Brady, which you could
I don't
maybe
agree with that.
We need to see more longevity, more long-term success, and maybe three-peating will put him up there as the only team and the only quarterback to be able to do back to back to back. But no, I completely disagree that, if he makes it, he deserves to even be in the conversation. He doesn't deserve.
He does have 4 NFL MVPs.
He does have 4 MVPs.
Second most.
Well, what has that brought him? Respectfully, what has that brought him?
He got 1 Super Bowl.
He got 1 Super Bowl.
And it happened really early in his career.
And he didn't even win the MVP when he was when he made the Super Bowl and won it. And he was the
year
after.
You think Kurt Warner brought this up so he could point out that he's only one of 4 quarterbacks to play in the Super Bowl with 2 different teams? Is that why he brought this up? I mean, this is an obscure thing. Why is there somebody bringing up about Aaron Rodgers being considered the GOAT? I don't think anybody thinks that.
But what I do think, though, and it's quite interesting, though, does it add any pressure? Because I already think the fact that you have Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, a reinforced offensive line, you added Mike Williams, your defense was the number 1 graded by PFF last year. The pressures are already insurmountable because, like me, and we're going to talk about it later on the show when we do our AFC predictions, people are picking them pretty high to go to places deep into the playoffs this season, including me. Do I think they're a Super Bowl caliber team? I actually do. I think they're definitely within the Super Bowl bubble. But regardless of what happens, I don't think Rodgers will be in it because, let's just say, would you put him over Peyton Manning?
No.
Would you put him over Patrick Mahomes?
No.
Would you put him over Tom Brady?
No.
Okay, so those 3 quarterbacks are definitely in the GOAT conversation, and even...
But Peyton Manning's not the GOAT. I don't think anybody's called him the GOAT recently.
Well, no, not recently, but it was Brady Manning throughout the entirety of their careers.
Well, there was a big rivalry there, but Brady won that rivalry big time. I mean, you look at the record Brady had against Manning, he's a winning record, big time.
I still think, though, people will
some of those games
have
wiped him out.
Some people will bring up the argument
Manning
because
made a lot of
Manning's
mistakes.
numbers.
He made a lot of mistakes in the playoff games against the Patriots.
That is true.
But I will say this, the Manning brothers are a nemesis to Tom Brady.
That is
if
very
it wasn't
true.
for them, Brady would probably have 3 more Super Bowl wins.
Well,
right? He lost twice to Eli Manning.
AFC championship.
And he lost the AFC championship game to Peyton Manning.
That 2015 year was the Panthers. You think the Patriots defense in 2015, how banged up that roster was?
If they would have gotten past, if they'd gotten to the Super Bowl, they definitely would have won it.
You think even with that banged up team in 2015, they would have beaten Cam Newton and Superman and the rest of that?
I do. I think Belichick would have had an answer.
For sure, they would have definitely. Brady would have won 2 more. That is a guarantee.
3. I think he would have won 3 more. Would have had 10,
and if Belichick
10 Super Bowls.
Well, if Brady played, maybe the number 1 defender snaps wise for him in 2017 against the Eagles, maybe he has 11 if we're adding on to that. But that's all the speculation and what is. But yeah, no, I think Rodgers will have instant success beyond 75 seconds like he had last year. Kurt Warner took him basically 5 seasons to figure it out, from at the end of St. Louis to then kind of he didn't want it, but kind of a quarterback controversy in New York, and then going to Cardinals and finding basically no success until that 1 Super Bowl year when you went 9-7.
I agree with the comment in the article about this Kurt Warner's article that if Rodgers can do it with the Jets, it will change public perception. If he wins the Super Bowl this year, it will change public perception of him. It will put him in a higher category, but it will not put him in conversation to be the GOAT.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.